Today, we're going to dive into one of the oldest stories ever told. I'm talking about a 4,000-year-old epic that literally created the blueprint for almost every hero you've ever rooted for. This is the Epic of Gilgamesh.
You know, it's a question that drives pretty much every big movie and novel, right? Well, 4,000 years ago, this epic was the first to really ask it. And its answer? Well, it isn't about superpowers or saving the world. It's about something way more human, and honestly, a lot tougher.
You've heard of the hero's journey, right? That classic story of a flawed hero who goes on a quest, faces all these insane trials, and comes back totally transformed? Yeah, that all started right here, in ancient Mesopotamia.
Okay, so, the world's first epic. To really get this story, you've got to understand where it came from. This wasn't just written by one person. Nope. Think of it more like a legend that was told and retold, getting polished and perfected over thousands of years.
It all starts with a real-life king in the city of Uruk almost 5,000 years ago. His legend was so huge that it actually outlived entire civilizations. It was passed down from the Sumerians to the Akkadians, then the Babylonians, and the stories eventually got woven into one single epic. And then, get this, it was completely lost for centuries, only to be dug up again in the 1800s. Just incredible.
All right, let's meet our main guy, a hero and his double. See, Gilgamesh isn't just a king, he's more like a force of nature. He's 2/3 god, 1/3 human, and absolutely 100% larger than life.
And you have to understand, heroic meant something different back then. Gilgamesh isn't just strong, he's overwhelming. His energy, his ambition, his appetites, they're so massive that he's literally wearing out the people of his own city. They're so fed up, they actually start praying to the gods to do something about him.
So what's the god's solution? They create a perfect counterbalance, a guy named Enkidu. And just look at this symmetry. Enkidu is part animal, part human, a wild man raised in the wilderness. He's the perfect mirror image for Gilgamesh, who's part god, part human. They're like two halves of one complete, extraordinary person.
Now, Enkidu's journey to the city is a whole story in itself. It's kind of like a mini parable for how humanity developed. He goes from being this creature of nature to becoming civilized, learning the ways of people step by step, until he finally gets to Uruk to meet his destiny. So what happens when these two forces of nature finally collide? Well, a massive wrestling match, of course, right in the middle of the city. Gilgamesh just barely wins, but in that moment he helps Enkidu up and, boom, they become inseparable. This is it, the first great buddy story in all of literature, the original template for duos like Achilles and Patroclus.
So now we enter the shadow of death. With his new best friend by his side, Gilgamesh has a new outlet for all that boundless energy. Their first quest together? It's not about seeking wisdom or fighting for justice. Nope, it's about winning a name for themselves, becoming so famous that their story will outlive death itself. So these two heroes travel to the mythical cedar forest to kill its terrifying guardian, a monster named Humbaba. And they do it, they get the glory they were craving. But in their arrogance, they've gone and crossed a serious line with the gods, and their victory is going to come at a terrible, terrible cost.
When they get back to Uruk, the goddess of love, Ishtar, actually proposes to Gilgamesh. He just rudely turns her down, so of course she gets furious and sends the bowl of heaven to wreck the city. But our two heroes? They kill that too. And that is the absolute last straw. The gods decide their arrogance has to be punished. One of them must die, and it's gonna be Enkidu.
This moment, this is the turning point for the entire epic. Gilgamesh just refuses to let his friend go. He holds Enkidu's body for days. He only accepts that he's really gone when he sees the physical reality of decay up close. For the very first time, this part-god king has a terrifying thought. I am going to die too.
And that realization just shatters him. Now he's on a new quest, a quest for immortality. The fear of his own death completely takes over, and it sends him running. But this time, he's not looking for fame. He's looking for a way to literally escape death.
He ditches his royal clothes for animal skins and sets off on this desperate journey to the ends of the earth. I mean, the scale of this quest is truly mythic. He goes past monstrous scorpion men, through a tunnel of pure darkness, and even crosses the waters of death, all just to find Utnapishtim, the one and only mortal who ever became immortal.
So Gilgamesh finds him and begs for the secret to eternal life. But Utnapishtim tells him this incredible story, one that might sound a little familiar. He talks about a great flood that was sent to wipe out humanity and how he survived by building a giant ark. His immortality wasn't some secret you could learn. It was a unique, one-time only reward from the gods. The message is crushing. There is no path for Gilgamesh to follow.
But as a kind of consolation prize, Gilgamesh gets a magical plant that can restore a person's youth. But then, on his way home, he stops to bathe, and a snake comes along, steals the plant, and eats it, shedding its skin and becoming young again right in front of him. Gilgamesh is left with absolutely nothing. He has failed, completely.
So he returns to a city totally empty-handed. But here's the beautiful paradox of the whole story. In completely failing to find eternal life, Gilgamesh finds something way more valuable. The journey has fundamentally changed him. He's found the wisdom of being mortal.
You know, earlier on his journey, a wise goddess had told him exactly this. She advised him to just stop chasing the impossible and to actually embrace the life he has, to find joy in food and family and the simple pleasures, because that's what being human is all about.
And as he arrives back home, that's when it finally clicks. He looks at the great, strong walls of his city, the very walls he built, and he finally gets it. His real immortality isn't going to come from escaping death. It's in what he built, what he created, and what he's leaving behind for his people.
I mean, the change is just profound. He starts out as a tyrant obsessed with his own glory and ends up a wise king who's devoted to his people. He didn't become a true hero because of the monsters he killed. He became a hero because of the wisdom he gained, that simple, powerful wisdom of how to be human.
When you step back and look at it, the influence of this one story is just staggering. It gave us so many things we now take for granted in stories. The buddy adventure, the hero's quest, using dreams as messages from the gods. It's all right here, at the very beginning.
And so, this ancient epic leaves us with the very same question Gilgamesh had to answer in the end. He found his immortality not by becoming a god, but in the walls he built for his people. So the question it asks us is, what will we build? What walls will be our legacy?